Hello, wristwatch aficionados. What we have here is a Casio G-Shock model DW-6900 encased in a block of ice. Because these watches are so boring and so ugly that the only thing we can do to make them interesting is freeze them and boil them. Or at least that's what I thought for a while. These watches are undoubtedly a perplexity to traditional or typical wristwatch collectors who are ordinarily interested in craftsmanship of cases, the intricacy and finish of mechanical movements, provenance, things that, in a sense, the G-Shock watches are all utterly lacking. As far as aesthetics go, this could come out of some H.R. Giger surrealist alien movie. As far as the black blocky case design, and the movement, of course, is a simple quartz movement. Simple, of course, in the sense that it's a non-moving electronic unit. But I've really come around to think the G-Shock watch line is doing some amazing things. So let's run through the specs and what's special about G-Shock watches, and then we'll boil this block of ice that this watch is in and watch it survive. As you can see right now, it's ticking away in this block of ice presently. So in terms of features, G-Shock watches have all kinds, and this model in particular, the DW-6900, has a lot of just the simple basic features, which is special shock resistance. I'm going to come back to that. 200 meters of water resistance, so easily used for diving. It's got a backlight, that big G button right there. It's got a multifunction alarm, 1/100th of a second stopwatch, countdown timers, time signals for the hour, an auto calendar. You can change the hour format so you have a 24-hour clock. It's a quartz movement, so it's about plus or minus 15 seconds a month, and a battery life of about 2 years. The G-Shock module is the 1289 module. The watch is very large, 53.2 millimeters by 50 millimeters, and about 16.3 millimeters tall, so it's a large watch. Not necessarily large by G-Shock standards, but by any other watch standards, it's very large. Has a plastic wristband and a plastic fixed bezel with a lot of the functions kind of surrounding on the display there, and buttons sort of bilaterally symmetrical around the outer edge of the case. This particular watch was introduced in 1995, and it's one that I think is special even amongst many very interesting G-Shock watches, because there's tons of variations of this watch. First of all, it's been this is the basic 1V watch, I believe is what it's called, which has been the basis of many other lines of watches. And so you can find literally hundreds of different colors and themes and all kinds of stuff of this very same watch, except with different resin colors and etc. So it's a sort of a basis for a very popular and practically quintessential G-Shock watch. But in addition to being sort of a pop icon and being used in that arena, it's also something that's widely used by armed forces. You can easily go online and find all kinds of cool images of SWAT or SEALs, or you name it, different branches of the military using these very watches in their various missions, and that's definitely something that's super awesome. So it's this watch in particular, even amongst some other very important G-Shock watches, is really a neat one. So what's up with G-Shock technology? Basically it's quite simple. It's just this large, bulky, and sort of controversial case design style, at least compared to sort of more traditional case design, is actually a hollow structure in which the module, the timekeeping module, the multifunction module, is floated. That is, it's protected from shocks, not only with the urethane bezel, but there's cushioning material on the inside of the case for the key parts, such as the crystal oscillator, which is inside the module. G-Shock uses all kinds of other technologies that is really cool. This one doesn't have any solar or smart features as far as timekeeping, and there's more advanced shock protection in the Triple G models. But this model is still considered absolutely robust and one of the sort of standard hardcore Gs that amazingly can still be found at your anywhere Walmart or Amazon for practically the price of a watch strap. And so for that reason, I think that these watches are really interesting as far as what they are in the watch hobbyist world. You know, they are kind of like an alien invader, if you think about it in terms of the sort of typical reasons that people collect watches. It's very post-industrial in design. It's aesthetically something that's totally a different approach than watchmaking does. It's cheaply made. It's really something that isn't made for nor is intended to be a watch that's collected or cherished. It's a tool that's meant to be used and beaten. But interestingly enough, it's not junk. It's not disposable in that sense, even though it features all of the disposable qualities of I guess what you find in mass-produced society. There's definitely a sort of what Matthew Crawford would talk about, a crisis of autonomy with watches like this. They're definitely tougher than the people that wear them. I mean, as tough as those people are, they're definitely tougher than the average Joe. And they're also sort of impersonal, especially I would say with all the multiple versions out there. You kind of pick the colors and the things, and if there's a designer that you like, you find the one with the designer you like, that kind of thing. All kind of showing that the kind of base matter for these watches is something that is definitely pop and post-industrial in terms of its consumability. And yet, we can't complain about this entirely because, you know, it was these advances in technology that got us to the moon and make 2001: A Space Odyssey closer and closer to a reality. And so, even though this utterly defies sort of traditional collecting standards as far as wristwatches go, it's extraordinarily interesting and impressive in its own right. And for that reason, I think G-Shocks are cool and pretty sweet. And now let's boil this thing. So here it is in its block of ice. We'll just hike it over to my boiling pot of water over here. So here we are with the boiling pot of water, and we're going to just place this in there. Here she is, doing real well. I'm going to just try to grab it with these tongs to make sure that I don't actually melt the watch at the bottom of the pan. Ice is melting no problem. I think it's really a marvel of the industrial process that you can create something that has so many precise features and is so durable. There you go, the ice just cracked. Yeah, these G-Shocks have been used by astronauts, and actually a version of this watch was used in Mission Impossible 2. All the logos and stuff were removed. So even though it's almost 10 years old since its introduction, it's definitely already a legend. You can see why. Crazy thermodynamics that thing can endure. Now it's all exposed on top. What's interesting about the G-Shock line is recently a very popular line that has come out as the aviation line, which turns back to having the traditional 3 hands, as well as, of course, having subdials, and it's been very well received. Not only is it's kind of bringing the super hyper durability of these G-Shock watches, and including some of the other features that people are looking for in more traditional watches. So there it is, taken away. No problem. You can see the different function buttons there on the side. This model also has place for screws by the rubber bracelet, but they're just decorative, so they're gone on mine. Okay, now the ice is completely melted out of it. Just shaking it out of the bracelet. It's a super awesome, durable watch.